First Person Combat. A core experience of every Skyrim playthrough, and some would argue the proper way to play the game. While I don't think there is such a thing, it's undeniable there is something truly satisfying in taking down hordes of enemies from this same perspective, and 2 years later, it's time to once again create an updated modded combo to drastically improve first-person combat. We'll start with CFPO. This animation mod introduces weapon-specific animations for first person and adds over 1000 of them to be utilized by the player and fully replaces outdated and reused original animations. It's powered by Dynamic Animation Replacer that utilizes various conditions to assign certain actors with unique animations, with conditions and actors being fully customizable by animators and users themselves. To put it in simple terms, thanks to DAR, CFPO sword animations will be completely different from dual daggers, axes, maces, two-handed weapons, and more. Swords will slice, axes will hack, daggers will stab, maces will crush, and so on. With CFPO, two-handed weapons will feel heavy and impactful, delivering crushing blows, and they are animated in a similar way to two-handed weapons in Chivalry and Mordhau. Additionally, the mod also covers unarmed combat, with neatly animated jabs and punches. The mod animates pretty much everything, from light attacks to side power attacks, leaving no attack pattern unchanged, thus making it one of my favorite Skyrim mod releases in 2023. CFPO also completely overhauls magic animations, and is one of the reasons why it overtook its predecessor Size Matters. It changes arm gestures for projectile casting and general offensive spell casts with a subtle handshake and a strain, dramatically representing concentration to upkeep the spell. Defensive spells are also fully covered, from self-heal to self-buff, defensive ward upkeep that is inspired from Finally First Person Animations mod, and non-offensive utility and alteration spell casts, and going all the way to an awesome looking ritual spell cast. Big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video, the most comprehensive free-to-play MMO military game for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and previous generation consoles that is dedicated to aviation, armored vehicles, and naval vessels in a dynamic combined arms PvP battles. War Thunder offers a fast action-packed, realistic, and tactical gameplay experience with intense PvP battles at various immersion levels for all playstyles, and an in-depth customization system for all your vehicles, spanning over 100 years of development from 1920s to the present day. Fly any aircraft with nothing more than a mouse and a keyboard for an intuitive gameplay experience, and immerse yourself with incredible graphics with 4K resolution and authentic sound effects that creates an immersive gameplay atmosphere. One of my personal favorites about War Thunder is dynamic and detailed vehicle damage models, where suffered incoming damage is received to components and crew members, and where with Damage X-Ray you can expect incoming and delivered damage to you or enemy vehicles. Combine that with a pretty detailed and model down vehicle components, resulting in an excellent and engaging combat experience. So go ahead and download War Thunder for free on PC or consoles by using my link in the description below, and if you register on PC, there is a large free bonus pack for you to take advantage of that includes a premium account, premium vehicles, boosters, and much more. Big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring the channel. A few more things worth mentioning when it comes to animations. While we have talked about CFPO for the full intro of the video, these animations are considered core for your modded first-person setup, and I would like to provide you with the most information as possible. The mod also covers archery animations and completely replaces animations from AGO we used in our previous first-person combat video. It covers idle, drawing the bow, releasing a shot, bashing and sheathing and unsheathing the weapon. Additionally, utilizing the installation menu, you as a user can decide how each of the weapons from the mod will be animated when landing a hit. Essentially, the mod offers two choices for every weapon in its swings, as we are still missing the technology to make it hit-based. First choice would be hit-stop option for your light attacks, and the second one will be a follow-through option, similar to the original game. You decide which one is more appropriate for you, as for some people hit-stop animations can look odd if the attack does not connect. With that being said, it's time to make attacks that do connect with actors more impactful. Slash Effect mod is the choice, a recent release that adds particle effects to your attacks. The mod is quite simple, completely visual, and doesn't affect the core of your gameplay experience in any way, other than applying particle effects when colliding your weapons with any actor on the battlefield. The slashes will match the direction of your weapon swings, includes over 20 effects to experience based on skin type and object collision. The mod offers two major choices in its installation menu, where the first choice and the personal favorite would be a regular directional blood slash without any additional effects, while the second one will be accompanied by a bright white slash as well. And to further improve the visuals for blood particles and textures that will surely be plentiful in all combat scenarios, I would recommend adding enhanced blood textures, primarily for its screen blood option, a fully customizable setup that dictates how much screen blood would appear each time the user receives a hit, its lifetime and minimum and maximum size, as well as the blood on weapons for that extra visual fidelity for combat aftermath, and perfectly complements slash effects with the patch provided. And to add cherry on top, and to accompany these two, I always add Just Blood Light from one of my favorite authors in the community, a simple plugin that adds more blood splatter to actors depending on the percentage of their missing health, and doing so with no gameplay changes. Next on our agenda is to provide the user with an ability to reposition and mitigate incoming damage in more ways than blocking, or just coming to terms with getting hit. TK Dodge is a mod that I've been recommending ever since my first combat video on this channel, as the only dodging mod that does not neglect first-person perspective and enables repositioning in all four directions. With this mod, proper positioning starts becoming important, and the users will be able to sidestep incoming strikes and iframe previously unavoidable attacks, and punishing their opponents with a counter with balanced implementation through custom iframes, dedicated hotkey, and stamina cost per dodge. To complement TK Dodge, we will add one of my favorite mods of all time, a multi-feature mod that introduces attack commitment to your enemies, Precision. First of many features this mod adds is a fully customizable weapon trails as meshes with multiple bones, whose location updates every frame to the weapon's previous position. More importantly, physics-based features is what makes this mod a must-have. Procedural hit reactions that force actors receiving a hit to visibly flinch in the direction of the attack. This makes weapon impacts more pronounced, with very noticeable visual feedback. Additionally, hit stop is included, a subtle slowdown and camera shake for every impact. All of these features render flinching and hit stop from the previous video completely obsolete, while at the same time also replacing Mortal Enemies mod with its own and better implemented actor-specific attack commitment, perfectly complementing TK Dodge, making combat more dynamic, impactful, and reaction-based. Time to overhaul resource management, as they are incredibly static in the original game, and their management essentially boils down to potion usage. Previously I've recommended Valhalla, which introduces stamina cost for every attack including light, an increased stamina regeneration for all actors by 5 times for in-combat and out-of-combat scenarios, an ability to parry incoming attacks that is clearly inspired by Sekiro, and deflecting incoming arrows using Magica. While this recommendation is valid, the more I thought about it from my previous combat video, Valhalla didn't seem appropriate for first person, but rather a choice for fantasy-based third-person combat setup, where realism isn't a priority. This time, the goal is to keep the combat relatively close to the original, without relying on features popularized by modern third-person action games. And honestly, the best mod for this is Wildcat Combat of Skyrim. With its own time block feature, users will be able to time their deflection and cause stagger to their opponents, rewarding proper action input while keeping it light and simple. It also introduces cost to all actions, like for example holding a drawn bow, putting much more pressure on the user. Uncalculated and unreasonable stamina management will lead all actors on the battlefield to become fatigued, lowering the movement speed and resource regeneration. And of course, my favorite Wildcat feature is the injury system. This system heavily improves the dynamic of the combat itself, as all actors on the battlefield may become wounded, receiving from minor to heavily debilitating injuries. It completely changes how you approach combat, as these injuries can drastically turn the tide of the battle, and the risk of receiving one becomes incredibly high at low health thresholds. And what better aspect of the game to complement Wildcat's injury with other than gore? I'm honestly unsure whether this footage will be YouTube friendly, as some of the stuff from the Maximum Carnage mod is pretty brutal. In a nutshell, Maximum Carnage is the best gore mod for Skyrim and will allow users to dismember their foes with extreme prejudice. Melee power attacks as finishing blows can smash and completely shatter opponents' heads into pieces, literally chop various creatures in half, split them open with a blow to the head, sever their limbs at the kneecaps, and slash internal organs. Pretty brutal stuff. However, even better and complementary to Maximum Carnage, we can add Gore to Destruction Magic finishing blows as well. While Maximum Carnage used to have its own, I always thought it was overshadowed by FEC, a mod that causes burns, freezing casings, and shock spasms. Obliterate your opponents into pieces with shock spells, freeze them solid with ice and shatter their encased remains, or vaporize enemies into ash piles using fire magic. The options are plentiful and quite imaginative to say the least. Okay, so the setup is complete, but I do have few recommendations as optional quality of life mods. First, improved camera. This SKSC plugin enables the first-person body and allows for typically forced third-person animations to be visible in first. It also works on multiple transformation forms as well. Personally, I'm not crazy about this mod, nor do I find it essential, so it does come down to personal preference. But if you do decide to use it alongside this setup, make sure to toggle TK Dodge's step dodge to true to avoid this mess, as TK Dodge in third person by default comes with a roll. Second, camera noise. I use this mod throughout the entirety of this showcase, and what it does, it adds a small God of War inspired camera wiggle effect. It's pretty subtle, adds to the immersive feel, and its intensity can be adjusted in the ENB's user interface. I also like using one-click power attack, a tiny SKSC plugin for Skyrim which lets users utilize power attack with a single key tap instead of holding the light attack button. It's more intuitive and eliminates animation desync that always triggers when performing a single power attack. For potion consumption, I still use ZX Slice's ultimate potion animations, as it is fully animated for the first person as well. Hotkey a potion of your choice, press to use, simple as that. And lastly, since the goal of this setup is to keep us in first person perspective, it's only logical it does the same during finisher animations. Violence gives control to the user when managing finishers, and all you have to do is to select the first person only option in the MCM. I am considering making a small guide from start to finish on how to get this to set up, so let me know down in the comments below if interested, and I will make it available for free on my Patreon page. Other than that, make sure to endorse the mods and their authors, subscribe for more modded content for Skyrim and Starfield in the future. Once again, shout out to War Thunder for sponsoring the video, links in the description for one of the coolest vehicle battle experiences, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.